A huge moo to the herd and welcome. I hope you're doing well. So after playing World of Warcraft since release day in Europe, I found myself spending less and less time in Azeroth, as the level of enjoyment I once had are no longer there. So this series is going to be a journal of my experiences playing Final Fantasy. As I've said before, it's not going to be a review of the game, it's just going to be my personal likes and dislikes and how I'm actually finding it. Now a spoiler warning. As I'm going to be playing through the game, you're going to see some potential story outcomes and reveals, so please bear that in mind when you are watching, as I don't want to ruin any surprise for people. So welcome to episode 3 of my Final Fantasy XIV journal. I decided to progress my main quest a bit more, so I switched the Lancer. I wanted to see a bit more of the world, and to do that you need to complete the main quest section in your starter area, and that unlocks a few things. And I know I said this in the first episode, but I can't get over how well the story is in this game. It is very much one of these things where it's not an afterthought. It's the core of the game. So after completing a series of quests, you get sent to this guy who looks a lot like the Green Arrow, but red. So, and that leads you to almost the final quest in this section. And it's really well put together. And like any good book, you're not handed everything. You are given some hints as to what's going on. Now, I've never played a single Final Fantasy game prior to this, so I don't know any of the history. I couldn't tell you anything about the characters, etc. So I'm coming this as a complete novice. And when you complete this quest chain, you get this absolutely fantastic cutscene. And there you are again, centre of the action. You are the person who did the work. You're getting the recognition. And I was someone linked me a video that Jesse Cox did comparing WoW with Final Fantasy. And what he said was, WoW is an MMORPG, whereas Final Fantasy is an RPG MMO. And it's so true, because the story is so key to it, and for me it really drives the whole experience. You feel part of the world. Your character is central to everything. It's not just someone who is doing actions, and if you did nothing, well, it wouldn't have an impact. You feel like you are having an impact. So, and I know I've gone on about this in the first episode, but for me it's just so fantastic. And the graphics, I mean, when I unlocked flying to the other starter areas like Limsa Lomonza, I don't know how to pronounce it, and Alda, these stunning vistas and absolutely beautiful graphics. And you just feel, yeah, I want to spend even more time playing in the game. I want to see more of this world. I want to explore it. I want to see these creatures. And this, so far, is just based on solo play. I haven't done any group content, etc. So that's definitely an area I'm looking forward to getting some experience in. I'm still a bit apprehensive because groups can be toxic and I haven't experienced what it's like in Final Fantasy, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. So in exploring all the new areas I've encountered, I've added a lot more professions to my skill set. I've added the Alchemists, which allows me to make potions and various different components. I've added the Weaver, which is cloth-based clothes, etc. Now, I'm not sure if that's centered around like the magic DPS classes. It definitely seems to be useful for producing clothes for boosting your profession skills, but we'll have to see how that all ties in. I've added the miner in, which is a gathering profession for gathering ore, etc. The goldsmith, which allows you to make trinkets and jewellery and the like. Cook or culinary arts, which, as you may guess, allows you to make foods, etc. The blacksmith, which is metal weapons, etc. And the armor smith, which is obviously metal armor. And what I have to say has to be one of the most enjoyable ones is fishing. So it's like most things in this game are very involved. It's not just a case of click, 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 click. It's a bit more involved. So you add bait, you cast, you wait for the response, you hook the line, you get your fish, you repeat, etc. It's actually quite relaxing and a bit therapeutic. So that's definitely something I'll be doing when I just want to chill, etc. So we now, I believe, have all of the professions learnt. So I'm gonna have to spend some time leveling those up, and I'll think I will be doing a lot of levies to do those, etc. So that's gonna be quite fun, and it'd be interesting to see how that improves my overall game in terms of making equipment available to myself, etc. And getting more experience. So I've also added in all of the available starter classes. So I've added the Arcanist or Arcanist, which is a obviously magic DPS caster, which seems to have dots and a pet, and plays a bit like a warlock in WoW, but not quite. I've also got the rogue, which, as you would expect, plays very much like a rogue, very much a slash off you go job. And the Marauder, which is a guy with a huge axe, which cleaves through the enemy. Quite interesting classes to play. We've also got the Gladiator, which is a sword and shield class. The Pugilist, which is an unarmed attacker, very much like the monk in World of Warcraft. The Thaumaturgist, I can't pronounce it properly. Quite an interesting one, that, because it has two states. You've got cold and heat, and as you use one, it diminishes the other, but you need to cycle between the two. I didn't quite understand it, but it's definitely one of those ones I'm gonna have to learn to play. Quite interesting classes to play overall. So I've got all of these choices I can now make as to how I progress, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a bit of time leveling up the Arcanist. From what I looked at, it looks like an interesting class. It's a bit more involved, a bit slow from the little bit I've played on, but that's kind of good because I want to try and get some feel and experience for the game, and how to play the class. And when the class gets upgraded, it can go either healer or DPS route, which could be quite interesting to try out in group content. So I'll spend a bit of time playing on that and see how I get on. And yeah, I have to say, I have fallen in love with this game so far. And I know it's only the early stages. And obviously you can, like with most games, you can get a dead spot and things just don't work. But so far there's so much to keep me interested. It will be interesting to see what the MMO part of the game's like and what the community's like. I have to say, all the people who have left comments on these videos, etc., have been very supportive and have provided a lot of advice, etc., which is wonderful. It's quite a breath of fresh air as well. So it'd be interesting to see what groups like. But until the next episode, I hope you have a great day. Thank you very much.